I have a thought and I'm triggered by the thought and it causes me displeasure, causes me anxiety, I can throw it out and I can have a thought that doesn't cause me displeasure, a thought that causes me pleasure. But that doesn't mean that I've seen the dissatisfaction in the thought or in the dissatisfaction in me, because the dissatisfaction is not in the thought. The dissatisfaction is my reaction to the thought. It's if it were my thought, if I were responsible for the thought, then I wouldn't have it and I wouldn't have the displeasure. But since I am not responsible for what arises in consciousness, my only choice is to understand why why that feeling, that attachment, that pushing away of the thought comes up in me. That is the dukkha. It's not the thought. It's not the displeasing thought. And if my only job is to manage how I react to my displeasing thoughts, then I'm never going to get any understanding or perspective on what the displeasure that I'm actually experiencing, that I'm creating, is. What view that's coming from, or what I'm ignoring and being surprised by when that thought comes. Because a triggering thought is like a surprise. It's like there's something unexpected happening. You don't expect to be triggered by a thought. You don't expect to have a reaction to a thought. You're just going about your day and, oh, you have a thought, and then part of you recognizes there's something in there, there's some truth in there that is deep down in my conditioning, or deep down in my sense of my values and what I expect of the world, that is pushing against it. And that thing deep down inside that is pushing against it is the source of dukkha. It's not the thought, because you didn't make the thought. If you had to not make unpleasant thoughts or unwholesome thoughts, you could never be free of dukkha, because I suppose if you could completely eradicate where they come from, right? So if the thought is the source of dukkha, if the thought is where that unpleasant feeling is generated from, first of all, it doesn't make any sense, because the thought comes first and then the unpleasantness comes. So the thought can't be the dukkha, because it comes before the dukkha. It comes before the dissatisfaction. So what's the dukkha? The dukkha is the dissatisfaction. If the dissatisfaction is coming not with the thought then the thought didn't bring it because the thought's gone. The other point about this is that not only can I be experiencing dissatisfaction with thoughts, I can be experiencing dissatisfaction with sensations. And those could be bodily sensations. They could be perceptions. So when I perceive that my car's flipping over, right, because I hit a bump, for some reason there's this like wedge in the road and it sends my car flying, tumbling through the air. I don't have to have a thought to be dissatisfied with that. I perceive a dissatisfaction almost immediately. I have the perception immediately, and immediately after that perception, well, I guess, yeah, right, it comes after. So there's the perception, and I don't go, my car is tumbling, and then react to the thought. I react to the perception. So sensations, perceptions, thought formations, consciousness itself, these are anicca, which is dissatisfying, and that needs to be seen. It needs to be seen that it's not my responsibility to make it not anicca. Oh, anicca is dissatisfying. Well, let me throw out anicca and change it so that it is satisfying. Let me change anicca. No, I'm not going to change the character of being. While there is being, there is dukkha, anicca, anatta. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to see that, and I'm going to realize that my ignoring of that is the source of my dissatisfaction, because I'm attempting to go against what is. Instead of going against the grain of the mind that wants to ignore that and have its cake and eat it too, I'm going against reality. So my dissatisfaction is coming from ignorance, but the ignorance is not only creating unwholesome thoughts, it's also creating a wrong view, feeling of empowerment to change reality. And that's the most hilarious thing. And it's creating someone to hold that power and the consequence of that misguided belief in power or attachment to power, to hold the suffering that is entailed in not getting what one believed one could achieve. which was to go against the character of reality.